Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about some rumors from ESPN on Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders. What's going on behind the scenes, and could it be dangerous for Stefanski's job? Also, we have a major report from Diana Rossini on Shedeur's prep before the Raiders game. We're going to take a look at all of this, but before we do, this is why you hit that subscribe button, folks. Look at that. We're almost at 62,000. Y'all are the best. If you want to know what's going on with the Cleveland Browns and their quarterbacks, hit that subscribe button. I give you all the updates, and I make a video every single day. Also, live watch parties. So join the party, join the family. And as you may have seen, the update we have for you to start today's show is Kevin Stefanski was asked about the Browns quarterback going forward, right? Because now Dylan Gabriel has been benched. Shedeur is the starting quarterback with a healthy Gabriel being the backup. And so does this mean Shedeur is the quarterback for the rest of the season? Well, Stefanski said, I'm just going to focus on this week, not going to get much past this week. So is this going to be a week-to-week thing now for the Cleveland Browns based on how the young quarterbacks do on Sunday? That's an interesting situation, but I think we'll at least get a few games for Shedeur, just like Gabriel had gotten. So that's also why you subscribe to know who's playing quarterback for your favorite team. But Stephen A. Smith on ESPN was pretty angry at Kevin Stefanski, and they were questioning a lot of his decisions. One thing Stephen A. pointed out was that Stefanski took Shedeur out of the game on multiple occasions for Judkins to score touchdowns. If you remember, the Browns went wildcat to Judkins from the 8-yard line, and he powered his way into the end zone. They did the same thing from the 2, which I think makes a little bit more sense. I'm going to talk about that, but let's take a look at what Stephen A. actually said, because his point was, if you're 2-8 and you're not going anywhere, and you're trying to find out what your quarterback is made of, why would you take him out in that particular situation instead of finding out what he could give you at least one of those times? Why not? I think this is a media analyst perspective from Stephen A. Like, we could sit here on the outsides. By the way, I never give up on the Browns' seasons until it's mathematically over. But those analysts, they're probably thinking, yeah, Cleveland's not going anywhere. And so you could think that from the outside perspective. But in the National Football League, you're always trying to win football games. That is always the goal. That's the objective. Every coach has to do it. I mean, you can't tank. It's against the league policy. So they're trying to do what they can to win games. And by the way, we're only 3 games back of first in the AFC North. All right? Don't call me crazy. I'm just saying the fact. Okay, that's a true statement. So power with Judkins, they've done that before, is also why I will counter this point, because they did the same thing to Gabriel in the Miami game, took him out. Judkins had 2 touchdowns from Wildcat formation. So I'm not there, but Cam Newton took it a step further and said Kevin Stefanski doesn't want Sanders to succeed in Cleveland. A crazy statement to go out and say, is there some truth to this? Well, we do know that Stefanski didn't want to turn to Shedeur. I think there's enough evidence that they were trying to avoid this as long as possible, including him being quarterback 4 before the season even started, right? I mean, he might only be getting an opportunity now because Pickett and Flacco were traded. He was never in the conversation. Not even that. He wasn't even getting reps with the first teamers. Now he has to, because he's the only active quarterback that could have started last week, and he earned his way to be the starting quarterback going forward. I think what realistically is going on, too, is Stefanski's job was on the line. I think the owner, Jimmy Haslam, saw the ticket prices go down and saw the city of Cleveland rallying around Shedeur, the fans screaming for him, and he's like, hey, if you don't start the guy, your job's on the line here, because Gabriel wasn't getting it done either. Let's see what we have in our other rookie. It brings some excitement and hope to the fans. And they got a new, young, flashy quarterback starting for us now. And it was really an obvious decision. So even though Kevin Stefanski never wanted to make the decision before, you couldn't avoid it this time. Like I said, the owner wants to make money. He wants to sell out the stadiums. He wants fans to still be engaged at this point in the season if they won't make the playoffs. And Browns fans, for the most part, they love him. The city of Cleveland is rallying around number 12. The atmosphere in the stadium when he went out there for the first time was electric. It was electric in Vegas. It sounded like a Browns home game at times. And so coming up against the 49ers at home, it's a no-brainer. And like I said, he also won that football game. He showed promise. He had some flashes. More deep shots than we've seen. We hadn't had a 30-yard pass all season long. Sure had 3. 2 of 30-plus air yards. So it was an obvious decision going forward. And I think Andrew Berry might have made this pick in the draft to bring Shedeur in, to trade up and get Shedeur. Probably not Stefanski. I mean, here was Andrew Berry sharing a hug with Shedeur locker room post game. In preseason, I remember watching Andrew Berry go up to Shedeur and say, "Hey, you did a nice job, kid." And so, love to see the GM getting involved. But a lot of people were mad about Kevin Stefanski's locker room victory speech post game, where he congratulated everybody on the team. He's like, shout out Gage Larvadan, shout out Harold Fannin Jr. And then he goes, offense wasn't perfect. And he goes, first start, nice job, Shedeur. And everyone was like, that's it? I mean, no quarterbacks ever won their first start for Cleveland since '99. And it's just, nice job. Didn't give him a game ball. Shannon Sharp was pissed off about this. He also, gave the most praise to Myles Garrett, which deservedly so. The Cleveland Browns defense had 10 sacks. But this is causing a lot of people to speculate if Stefanski even likes Shedeur, if he wants to turn to him. And I want to know what you make of this, Browns fans. I mean, do you think there's any validity to these rumors about Stefanski and Shedeur's relationships? Just comment down below, because I'm sure you're hearing all about it, just like I am. I'm curious what you think is going on behind the scenes. Let me know in the comment section, Browns fans. I think what I can say logically is it didn't seem like Stefanski wanted to start Shedeur, and now there is no choice but to do so. So what say you in that comment section? Coming up, we have a major report on Shedeur Sanders, how he was prepping before Week 12. I think it might get you excited, Browns fans, so you're not going to want to miss that. But before we get into it, super excited to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. It is the holiday season, the best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. I love this app, man. It's so fun. I win money. Covering the Browns helps me know what picks to make, too. When the coaches talked about getting Jerry Jeudy more involved, I picked more on his projections, and I was right. When Cleveland plays a bad run defense, I pick more on Quinshon Judkins. And is your fantasy season already over? One of my teams is cooked. But with Prize Picks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week, pick your favorite players, and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. I could do that this week with my lineup. I've got a 2-pick power play. Kareem Hunt, our old friend, more than half a touchdown on Thanksgiving. I like how they use him in the red zone. And I'm going with Shedeur once again. Give me the more on 149.5 passing yards. He did it last week. I think he does it again. That's my lineup. If you want to tail me, try and make some money, you can do it. But you got to download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk about this major report we got from Diana Rossini on Shedeur Sanders before the Raiders game. How was he treating this? How did he approach it? What was going on behind the scenes? We've got sources telling us what it was. Diana Rossini from The Athletic said, people inside the Browns building say there's been a calm about Sanders that sticks out. Coaches and teammates have watched him roam the halls with his iPad under his arm, bouncing from meeting to meeting, stopping for extra one-on-one sessions with Coach Kevin Stefanski for a third-day pick who barely took reps earlier in the season. Sanders is, as one Browns player described it, treating this start like a final exam he can't fail. One staffer told me they've seen him in the cafeteria, tray in front of him, iPad out, dissecting Raiders tape as if his career depended on it. Sanders has done everything possible to prepare, I've been told. He's not in the league simply to fill a roster spot. He's here to make a statement. Sunday isn't just the first start. It's Sanders' opportunity to rewrite the narrative, and he's determined to do just that, even if not many people believe he'll be able to do it. This is an encouraging report, and I think what people don't see about Shedeur is that behind-the-scenes aspect, that want to, that willingness to be great, the drive he has. He wants to succeed so badly in this league, and he's putting in the work to do so. Dissecting Raiders tape, working hard behind the scenes, going the extra mile to be ready, to make sure he's in the perfect spot of preparation. He's working hard, folks. I think that's what people miss about Shedeur because of all the flashiness, but he's out there studying film, watching tape to try and succeed and put himself in the best spot. Like, he's not another Browns quarterback that we had before. He's not Johnny Manziel. He's not out there partying in Vegas. He's out there winning football games in Vegas. 1-0 as a starter, baby. Liked what I saw from the young rookie. Over 200 yards, made some flashy plays, some deep shots that we haven't seen all season, quite frankly, on the Cleveland Browns team. He gives you more, and I think people miss that aspect that he is studying, working hard in meetings, and putting himself in a good spot to succeed. So we're rooting for him here as Browns fans. I really hope we got the guy. Shedeur added on to this about how comfortable he felt, saying, I'm not going to lie, I felt very relaxed, very relaxed. Half of that comes from preparing, studying, and knowing I've got God on my side. I had no worries. I didn't feel nervous or anything before the game. I think that's the other thing about Shedeur that is a positive. He's made for the big moments. He loves this stuff, man. He loves the spotlight, the energy, the excitement, the draw. I mean, everybody's tuning in. He's box office, and he thrives in that. He enjoys the spotlight. You saw him post-game. Fans were cheering. He stands there, does his famous wrist celebration. Like, he revels in this, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that is a good thing for Cleveland, that he's made for the big moments, for the spotlight, for the pressure. You know, it doesn't faze him. It's hard to faze Shedeur. You can tell because he's under so much scrutiny. You know, I mean, there's going to be road environments he'll play in where people will be booing. There'll be road environments where people will be cheering like crazy. And he's focused. He's confident in himself. And if he has the tools to be successful, I think the mentality will help him as well. So if you're hyped up for Shedeur to start in a Browns home game this Sunday, type 12 down in that comment section. Let's get a bunch of 12s. Let's spam it. Get 100 12s going down there. Get super pumped to see how the Browns fans embrace Shedeur this Sunday against the 49ers. We will be live for it, so you won't want to miss it. Also, make sure you head on over to Twitter. Follow me at Joey070. I'll post some highlights and funny stuff on there. And as always, hit that subscribe button. You do not want to miss a Browns Report video. Cleveland in the news a lot lately, so I'll have you covered every single day. Thank you so much for joining me here on today's show, and we'll see you next time.